So pretty simple video today, best camera for content creators in 2024. Now this obviously breaks down into a few different categories because in 2024, a content creator can mean a plethora of options. Maybe somebody that does podcasts, maybe somebody that does gaming live streams, horizontal long form content versus vertical short form content. So to make it simple, I'm breaking it down into three categories today: short form content, long form content, and live streams. Now this video is going to be a little different from traditional videos. In the past, myself and many other creators would try our best to articulate with you guys that the idea of just going all in on the best or most expensive camera may not be the best option for you. Essentially just saying start with what you have. The reality is, for a lot of people, a cell phone is a good starter. A webcam would be the best thing for a streamer, and you don't need a full frame DSLR camera to produce good YouTube videos. But what I've learned over the years is it's a battle I no longer want to fight. Some of you just want to waste your fucking money, and I honestly don't care. So we're going to talk about it all today. And if you want to spend your damn money, who am I to tell you not to? At the end of the day, I'm not your father. I'm not your financial advisor. I'm just Biggie making YouTube videos. So with the morality thing, short, simple, sweet today, full disclosure, a camera isn't necessarily going to make you a good creator. You could spend $6,000 on a setup and still fucking suck at telling a story. Starting off, let's talk about streaming. Plenty of starter webcams out there. Too many to list at this point. You can go to any Target, Walmart, Amazon and find a $30 to $50 starter cam. If you're doing specific content that doesn't necessarily even need a cam, maybe gaming content, for example, I've seen plenty of creators throughout the years start streaming without a cam and became successful. Some of my best friends who are killing it today, example, the Man Vita and Nocturnal Owl and plenty of my Apex Legends creators, they don't use cameras at all. And they still have thousands of people that tune in every single day and watch them. So if you're somebody that doesn't even want to have a cam and that content doesn't necessarily need a webcam, hey, fuck it, you do you. However, let's just say you started streaming with a cam and you have that cheap $30 cam from Walmart and you're looking to make that next step in a webcam and you think you need a mirrorless DSLR camera, I just cannot suggest the Elgato Facecam Pro enough. I would argue that that webcam is probably the closest thing to mirrorless DSLR camera quality that you're gonna get. On top of that, if you have one of the newer GeForce graphics cards, you get a lot of additional AI features from the Elgato software. To me, for just a few $100s, I think it's just one of those webcams that you could start off streaming to like 20, 30 viewers and everybody would be happy with the results, or you could grow to tens of thousands of viewers and people would still be happy with the results. Next thing that I want to mention, and I think it's just super important for all of these levels, live streaming, short form, long form, but kind of like the next step that you really should focus on, maybe even before you get an Elgato cam, is lighting. I know it's annoying. I know it's boring for me to say that out loud, but I don't think a lot of you guys really understand how fucking important lighting is to your cam. It's half the reason why most of you do look like shit on your stream. And I wouldn't suggest those little key lights. I love Elgato. I love Godox. I love that these brands make the convenience package, but a lot of creators will just put a lot of harsh light on them and it completely blows out the image and fucks with the ISO. So going more the LED softbox route, you can find something relatively cheap on Amazon, I feel like would be the best for all creators. But if you really just feel the need to up the quality and move into that high-end quality camera setup, honestly in 2024, any mirrorless crop sensor ASPC camera would do the trick. I really wouldn't stress about the idea of needing 4K and 60p for your stream. So any like entry level mirrorless DSLR like a Sony a5100 would do the trick. It's something I suggest to this day. A lot of amazing streaming and content creators still use the Sony a5100 and a6000 to date. You can go the 4K route if you really want to waste your money. It's not going to do too much for you. You're going to do more pixel peeping because you spend the money on it and you want to justify the purchase for 4K. In reality, everything is going to downscale in OBS, and then the quality in itself is going to be downscaled once again when you stream. I should say with most sites, YouTube does offer a higher quality. You could notice a quality difference on YouTube, especially with a higher end camera. Do the viewers really honestly give a shit? Not really. As creators, we stress about it more than anybody. But hey, dude, if you want to blow your wad on like a Sony a6600 or one of the new Z series cameras and use that as your webcam, absolutely do your thing. It's going to look great. It's going to look a lot better than an Elgato face cam and a standard webcam. The only thing I'm not going to recommend in this list for live streaming is full frame cameras. It is really, honestly, for a vast majority of creators, completely unnecessary, especially gaming creators. Creators where their cam is going to be so small on the screen. Why are you worrying about going from crop sensor to full frame, where it's going to cost you hundreds of dollars more for the camera body alone, and then going to cost you hundreds to thousands of dollars more for lenses? Can we just please stop listening to idiots on the internet that tell you that you have to have a full frame camera just because it is technically better than a crop sensor? Nobody's going to notice the difference. Everything is going to be downscaled. You're literally throwing away extra money when you do that. But hey, at the end of the day, once again, if you want to blow your money, stay tuned. I'm going to talk more about these cameras, and you just go fucking waste your money on that for no difference at all. Next, let's talk about vertical or short form content. Starter camera would be a cell phone. I don't even know if you really can debate that in 2024, especially with the recent iPhones. I mean, even Android and Google have come a long way with their cameras, like cell phone cameras in 2024, and not even just in 2024, 2023 cell phones, 2022, 2021, like cell phones over the last 5 years. For vertical content, by doing 4K and downscaling to 1080, it creates a really good image that most people can consume. Most people are not going to get annoyed by the quality that you get from cell phones from the last few years, especially if you get really good lighting. It's really hard to suggest somebody to just use their cell phone because they think it's just such a inadequate piece of equipment or a shitty piece of tech in your arsenal. Like, you want to have this big rugged camera, and how dare your little cell phone be able to compete with that? But the reality is, honestly, with short form vertical content, it competes just fine. Most people's attention spans are completely spoiled by TikTok anyways, so people don't really notice that much of a quality difference as long as they're getting fed whatever fucking content they want to consume. Next suggestion would be a crop sensor camera. Again, I'm Sony, so I can only suggest Sony products. I feel like in 2024, a lot would do, whatever Canon's crop sensor, Nikon's crop sensor, but anything crop sensor with a decent lens is gonna do the trick nowadays. For example, if you just get the Sony a6700 or one of the Z series crop sensor cameras and you go get a low f-stop Sigma lens to get you that nice background blur, the bokeh as the young kids call it. Honestly, you get something like that and compare it to like my $5,000 cinema camera setup in the vertical world where everything is like 1440 and 1080, people are really not gonna notice that much of a difference, especially when these crop sensor cameras nowadays can actually do really good in low light, produce pretty decent high dynamic range. Lastly, for short form, I would say upgrading to a full frame might not be that bad of an idea, especially if you feel like you're going to expand out of vertical short form. Having that camera that can kind of do it all, which is the perfect time to move into the camera's best for long form content. So we'll talk more about full frame DSLRs in that segment. Once again, long form, if you're starting out and can't afford a camera, I started off on my cell phone. To this day, one of the fastest, largest growing car content creators on YouTube, Whistling Diesel, he uses an iPhone for everything he shoots. You would actually probably be surprised how many creators do still use iPhones for long form horizontal content in 2024 and get millions of views. So if you're starting off and you literally can't afford anything else, just start on your fucking phone. You're literally cucking yourself by not. Next, once again, crop sensor ASP, repetitive. I should have thought about how I'm gonna put this video together because I could have probably not done each category individually and keep repeating same type of camera. Well, it is what it is. Once again, ASPC crop sensor cameras, don't give a shit if it's Sony, Canon, Nikon, Fuji, whoever makes these things. I can't express enough how good these cameras are nowadays. Most people that say they notice a difference between crop sensor and full frame are just full of shit, man. Even in a long form horizontal concept, I mean, just YouTube search ASPC or crop sensor cinematic and see what somebody that has good composition, that knows good color, that knows good lighting, how to expose a shot. See what some of these people are producing with crop sensor cameras, and then you come back to me and honestly tell me that as a content creator, you have to have the big thing. And I think that's a big important note as we move into full frame cameras, where it's going to open up this Pandora's box of also talking about cinema cameras. It's important to remember that at the end of the day, not everybody can even consume the quality that you are presenting. There's still a vast majority of Americans that can't even watch 1080p videos because their internet connections or cellular service is so bad. So while we as creators stress about having the most levels of dynamic range, the best encoding, the best quality, the best transfer speeds, the best fucking camera in 2024, most people, after it gets uploaded to YouTube and downscaled and compressed, most people can't even consume your content that you're fucking stressing about at the quality that you want to present it at. But I get it, dude. I'm a tech nerd too. I have 3 full frame cameras. I'm the tea kettle calling the pop light. Now, truth be told, I have all these cameras because throughout the years, I did a lot of production work for companies. That mixed with brand deals, with being a streamer, vertical content creator, long form creator, helping other creators make content. I just needed to have a lot of tools. So I got 3 full frame cameras and I got a lot of fucking lenses. Mostly because I'm a little bit of a nut. I like collecting these vintage lenses, anamorphic lenses. I just get more into the culture, which, hey, there's nothing wrong with that. And that's why I figured I would talk about all of this today, because the reality is some of you are that way too. For me, I would rather invest my time and money into camera gear because 1, it holds its value really well. And 2, at the end of the day, these are tools that help me improve, challenge me to be a better creator in general. And I just like having the ability to have options. So with being a content creator in 2024, I'm gonna be a little biased and I'm just gonna suggest Sony. I just think there are so many lenses. I think they do so many updates to cater to creators. I can only assume that in the next couple of years, they're gonna make more updates for creators that just make more sense. For example, I would argue that this is probably the best just all around content creator focused camera setup that you can get. This is the Sony ZV-E1 with a Sony 16-35. So you get a lot of that wide angle, or you can zoom in for a tight 35 look. This camera over here is what 35 millimeters looks like if you want reference. But you throw this lens on what is essentially a Sony a7S III, which can do 4K 120. It has really good high dynamic range, really great colors, really film-like professional shot that you get a lot of control out of. On top of that, it's got a lot of AI features. It's got a lot of automatic microphone features. It just is a tool that allows content creators to do their job more efficiently outside of, honestly, long-term recording. That is the only downside with this camera. If you're recording like a podcast at 4K, it's going to overheat. I've experienced overheating after like 30 or so minutes of record time with maybe like actually like 45 or so minutes of record time is when I started to experience overheating with this. And as a creator, I typically don't record high quality 4K that long. When I do my podcasts, I just record it all on 1080 because nobody honestly gives a fuck. But yeah, I would say full frame wise, the Sony ZV-E1 is probably the best content creator marketed camera. You have the Sony a7 IV, which I have over here to the left, which is just great for photography. It's great for videography. It's got good color. It's a very fast, sharp camera, and it produces high quality photos as well as video, which I would honestly argue too that the a7 IV is honestly one of the better content creator marketed cameras that you can get. As it's just a great run and gun. Like you can do everything you need to do as a content creator with it. And then you got this big bitch right here, the Sony FX3, the creme de la creme. Honestly, in my opinion, one of the best cameras that you can get still coming in to 2024. I'm sure we're going to see from Sony this year a new crazy cinema camera, maybe the FX A7 IV, I don't know, or the A7S IV. I don't know what their plans are. I don't work with them, but I could definitely see the next series of the FX3 coming out this year. However, for the time being, this thing is just a fucking tank, man. It's just so fucking reliable and it creates an amazing shot. There's just not much I would ask out of this camera in 2024. So if you're like getting a lot of brand deals with vertical content and you want to start doing more horizontal content, I would definitely say like the ZV-E1 is worth the upgrade. A lot of AI features, a lot of things that just makes creating content easier for content creators. But dude, fuck it. If you just want one of the best cameras as a content creator in 2024, you're like, I don't care. Thousands of dollars, just give me the thing that would just knock out everything I need to knock out. I argue that the Sony FX3 is probably one of the best still on the market. Again, I know that Fuji and especially Panasonic make some really good options, but I just feel like those brands have really continued to capitalize in the creative atmosphere, like really catering to creators, and they've just kind of missed their mark on pushing to the general content creator, to where in 2024, I feel like a lot of content creators don't have a creative background anymore. A lot of content creators didn't come from photography and videography. A lot of content creators nowadays just have a really good message. They create their content that they create with their community, and they're just looking to upgrade their camera gear and setup along the way to make it as easy as possible. And I just feel like Sony is that fucking brand that knocks that idea out of the park. So that's why I just can't suggest them enough. If you get any one of these cameras and stack it with the 16 to 35 f2.8, you're cooking, man. You have wide angle, tight shot, lots of options, makes recording easy. Dude, like even if you put these cameras on automatic settings and just set it down on a tripod and record, you're gonna be blown away at the quality. I will say that the Sony ZV-E1 has the best in-camera microphone out of the three of these, at least in my experience. But you get an external mic, none of that fucking matters anymore. So yeah, all in all around best camera marketed for content creators, ZV-1. If you want the best camera, in my opinion, FX3. If not, in every tier of where you go, like streaming, don't worry about full frame. It's just not worth your fucking time. Vertical content, debatable. At the end of the day, who fucking cares? This is just my shitty opinion. All in all, whatever you do, just use my links down below if you want to buy something cheap, or you just want to go all out and buy like a $7,000 camera setup for your 25 viewers. I don't care. Again, not your dad. Just use my links down below because you watched this entire video. Why the fuck would you waste all this time and not support your boy? Like, comment, subscribe. That's all I got for you guys today. I'm out. Peace. Deuces.